Okay, so that's the good news. This auxiliary antivirus defense system, it came as a result of studying the stealth-adapted viruses, not only those from autistic children, but from patients with chronic fatigue illnesses, patients with psychiatric illnesses, a whole range of illnesses. We can demonstrate the presence of these atypical viruses. We can grow them in culture, but when we put them into animals or look at them, they just don't activate any of the cellular immune system. But nevertheless, animals do get better, and the tissue cultures do improve over time. And we can associate that repair process with materials that we call an alternate cellular, or through a process that is energized through an energy pathway that we refer to as the alternative cellular energy, or ACE pathway. And this pathway is quite distinct from the usual perception of how cells get energy, primarily through little organelles called mitochondria. And sure that they work to take foodstuffs and oxidize it to make energy in the form of ATP, but quite separate from that pathway, we have this alternative cellular energy pathway. It's mediated by these materials that we refer to as ACE pigments. They are minerals that are complexed into and form a lattice with various organic molecules. The science behind this is absolutely fantastic, but basically they act as little antennas capturing physical energies and able to convert that into a cellular energy. And we know how to measure that energy. We're learning more and more how to activate it, and we realize that this whole pathway exists in nature in a very big way. Quite likely, this pathway preceded what we now know as photosynthesis, which is the way that most people perceive that living organisms, bacteria, and primarily plants, can capture energy from the sun through the process of photosynthesis. But it is likely to have evolved from this ACE pathway, which still persists. This is just one slide to show you. Basically, it's an example of an electron micrograph of cells from the brain of a young child who was infected with these stealth-adapted viruses, just emphasizing the fact that these organelles here are mitochondria, and let me just tell you, they're markedly damaged. These are the ACE pigments that form, and these are the pigments that can provide this alternate energy source to the mitochondrial pathway. So this was part of the evidence that led to the recognition that the body has and can use an alternate cellular energy pathway, and is particularly in need of that pathway if there's something like a virus on board that can usurp, capture the energy from the cell, leading the cell in need of more energy, particularly if it's going to try and tackle that virus through this alternate cellular energy pathway or through this repair process. Given that these products exist in nature and that it's not only confined to sick individuals or autistic children having this ACE pathway, but very much part of nature, we can identify natural products and products out there that we call enerceuticals or energeceuticals. And they're defined basically as products that can provide energy through this ACE pathway. We can also define them functionally. They work on plants, animals, and humans. They basically are not directed to treat any particular disease. In fact, even an athlete opting for optimal performance can benefit from these kind of enerceuticals. And the biggest thing, they don't work directly by having to move to the site of a disease cell or tissue in the brain in the case of autism, because they can work even from the skin, generating that energy that, like tuning forks can activate other tuning forks at a distance. They can create an energy field that can permeate through the body, activating the body's ACE pathway, leading to an enhancement of that body's capacity to overcome infections and different diseases. And then just on the last one there, this has come for some time now. We've worked in the past, led by organic farmers as what they were using, but have now been able to formulate very efficient, very effective, very powerful ACE or anaceuticals, or these products that work through the ACE pathway. It's not altogether new, and the parent of this child is quite happy for me to show this slide. She basically, and this had a product here, a product used in Japan in farming. But basically, here's a product that is made in Japan, over 1,000 tons, which is a big product. A quarter of farms use it in Japan. What impressed me was that the company was saying to the farmers, you only need 5 drops per gallon to work. And they use it to make ice, to store fish. It does have this anaceutical product. And that was the one that this particular mother responded to, got it 2 years ago, and I want her to get on to this newer products. But she sent this photograph. Her child, an old photograph, then took a more recent photograph after being on these products, and her comment, wow, all capitals, what a fantastic change had occurred. That kind of improvement, we're seeing so much more of it now. And just in trying to put a broad perspective, old versus new, one of the encouragement for people in the autism community was that there were these reports of children getting better. The illness wasn't an absolute non-recoverable type illness. A number of parents would proudly talk about they used to have an autistic child. They would break through that veneer and it would come through. That we know that improvements, marked improvements, are possible. And even in the very severely ill children, improvements are possible. But there have been somewhat inconsistent, exaggerated claims, people pushing chelation, never questioning whether or not there might be an alternate explanation for the improvements they were seeing. For example, giving minerals to complement the chelation protocols. People pushing for RNA, people using hyperbaric chambers. And there was a lot of work done, a lot of marketing of these products without very much documentation. We then came to identifying this ACE pathway and had an opportunity of setting these studies up in Arkansas, which we did, and the studies are proceeding now of that. Of the 14 patients who have been treated, virtually all of them have shown greater than 50% recovery. I won't have time today to go through the examples, and the study is ongoing. But let me tell you, a very qualified rater is saying that these children are improving beyond 50% of their potential. I won't go through this, and I just require people to give me a call to talk about the anticipated progress we're making in these studies, including getting more and more parents to act as clinical investigators. Because I mainly want to show you this last slide, which is basically the telephone number and the email address, so that we can continue this conversation at other times and see if we can't help individuals individually, but also help get the message out to the wider community. I do appreciate all your time. Please, I look forward to your telephone calls and to your emails and to an occasion to really document for you the progress that is being made daily now in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Thank you all very much.